I've been with George since I started a horse called Sky High and Mr. Currency, and nothing's changed. But training yourself or training with another trainer at any time, I don't train with anybody else. I only train once a year with George. And what he teaches you are life skills that makes it easy for the horse, it makes it easy for you. And you could leave this clinic today after 3 days, have 3 light days and go to a World Championships or a World Cup final. So he doesn't teach anything that you can't use in the ring. There's no gimmicks, there's no keeping the horse away, there's no getting behind the horse to make it jump more. He's a classical trainer. And they're life skills, you know. He's a 5-star coach. So every time I step in the ring, of course, when you train yourself, or you don't always have a second eye watching the detail all the time. To me, it's a refresher course of something that the same theory, the same emphasis on correctness, on position. Good position allows the horse to use its technique better. And of course, being able to stand up in the saddle and gallop and let the fence come to you, and develops your eye and gives you a lot of confidence in the way you ride. So I've trained in Germany for many years at Schockemüller's place. I've trained all over the world, and I find that George's system is a system that suits the horses better than any other system that I've been allowed to practice. And it's a system that you can take into the ring, and it's a system that will make you a lot of money. And that's what he's taught me. I've made my living out of buying and selling horses and developing horses, and then selling them to the same style of riders who ride in the same system. And you have to be aware of I'm very aware of making a living, but I'm also very aware who my customers are. And after Gabby selling Crystalline to a rider that rides on the same classical American style, and I sold Vivant to very much the same classical style Brazilian rider, and that's where the marketplace is. So I don't lose sight of the bigger picture, and in between, I don't, like George mentioned today, you can overtrain your horses at a very early age on the flat work and the jumping. I'm someone who gives a horse a 3-year project, and normally I make a horse from its first show to Olympic level or international level in 3 years, which most people don't have a system like that. But I allow the horse to progress, and I know how much that I can put into his brain. And so I work with intelligent horses first. I look for a horse that has natural instinct, that allows me to develop his skills, and appreciates an empathy style of ride that allows the horse to think for itself in front of the fence. And that's what George is all about. So you can take that ride into the first fence. You don't have to be defensive. You can ride at 400 metres a minute. You can up tempo. And as you see, a lot of horses that were a little bit protected and a little bit ridden, a little bit backward with a more upright and behind seat. He's got them all, over the stirrups, allowing the horses to gallop up. And it's a lot like free jumping a horse. The horse must set itself with self-carriage and jump. So when you see a horse free jump, you don't really want to change the way it jumps. You just want to fit around it. So if I have to purchase horses that are free jumping, I purchase horses that have nothing that I have to improve. They have a canter, they have a shoulder technique, and they come up through the wither, and the back work's correct. I don't buy horses that are unlevel in front. I don't buy horses that I have to think that if I can do this, I can do that, I can improve the jump. No, I'm very fussy at what he was talking about, is that your choice of horse that you want to ride in your sport is number one. So I don't always, unfortunately, the horse that I want to buy doesn't always fit my budget. So sometimes I have to extend myself to the point where I have to sell a couple of $100,000 horse in Australia to go and purchase a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. But in the long term, I think in the Australian breeding, I think in 5 years' time, and I'm hoping with the breeding that Gabby and I are doing with the embryos that we're doing out of our Grand Prix mares that we have at home, and with Flair, and the stallions that we're using, in 5 years' time, I'll be able to not have to travel to Europe and purchase my 4 and 5-year-olds. We do 6,000 kilometres, and and have very good friends and very good connections that we've developed over 30 years to find these horses. But now the marketplace has got very smart. They're no longer buying 7-year-olds and can pluck a 7-year-old international horse off a national rider. They're actually going backwards and buying 3- and 4-year-olds now, which I've been doing for the last 15, 20 years. But unfortunately now the prices have trebled for a young horse, and the prices for a 5-star horse has trebled as well. You can't purchase a Crystalline anymore. You can't. Firstly, the prices have trebled, and secondly, that the owners who already own them have great backers and owners, and that's something that we need to have in Australia. We need to be able to have, which we do have. We do have some great owners in Australia in supporting, like Terry Snow and Winning Appliances and Aquis and McMahon's, and there's a lot of, and Rory Hovell and Oak Sport Horses. But you know, there needs to be the business line needs to come in a little bit and support the growth in the quality of horses that we have, because there's a big profit involved, and it's a big market. And I travel to Europe every year to purchase and sell, and the market is stronger than the Sydney house market. And you can always buy something in Sydney. You can't always go and buy a Winx that's on the market before the Olympic Games or before World Championships or before the GCT tour starts. It's not all about representing your country now. The sport has grown like soccer. It's the second biggest sport in the world in Europe to soccer. So, and you know how much they pay soccer players. So you've got people in the sport that are able to support their habit or their sport or their passion, and that's where Gabby and I come in. We're buyers and sellers, and we like to be able to sell horses to very nice clients that have a system like George. We do turn down buyers that we know that won't suit the horses and won't suit the system of the horses, because first up, the horse's welfare is number one to Gabby and I. And we like to see the horses progress and go on and become superstars, and we get a lot of pride out of watching that. And I think with Mr. Currency, Scandal got sold to Princess Haya. Mr. Currency went to Barcelona Olympics with the Spanish team. Vivant went to Mr. Ashenko and was an amazing horse for his team, and retired at 18 years old. And is breeding in Ireland. I think he got 350 mares last year, so there'll be a lot of legacy and progeny coming around through Vivant. And then Crystalline won a gold medal at the Carolina World Championships with Adrian Sternlich. So we really enjoy what we do, and but firstly it has to be a business, and you have to have the best influence in the world, and I believe George is the best influence in the world. And at 82, he can still outride anyone without stirrups, and it's an amazing effort. So hopefully he keeps coming back.